Philanthropy Ohio celebrated 30 years in 2014. Here's a snapshot of the history behind the leading voice and the premier resource for philanthropy in Ohio. Philanthropy Ohio's earliest predecessor organization, the Donors Forum of Ohio, began in 1975 as an informal network of Ohio's corporate and foundation grantmakers who wanted to create an organized mechanism for learning and connecting with each other in order to be effective in their philanthropic work. In 1975, there were 1,133 foundations in Ohio that held $1.5 billion in assets. The network held its first volunteer-led statewide conference in 1975, but it took until 1984 for Donors Forum to be incorporated, and another 4 years before it hired its first staff, Lynn Helbling-Cyranek. In 1988, Donors Forum of Ohio described itself as a statewide association of corporate, private, and community foundations and other institutional grantmakers whose purpose is to strengthen and enhance philanthropy throughout Ohio. Through its members, the Donors Forum works to advance the growth and effective stewardship of philanthropic resources on behalf of all Ohioans. Donors Forum had 8 employees and a budget of just over $500,000. Around the same time, funders in Cleveland created Grantmakers Forum as a program of the Cleveland Foundation with a similar purpose of gathering local funders for learning and connecting. It was another 5 years before it hired its first staff, Dorothy Weiss. In 2000, the two philanthropy-serving organizations merged to become Ohio Grantmakers Forum, with offices in Columbus on East Broad Street and in the Hanna Building in Cleveland. Ohio Grantmakers Forum had 13 staff and a budget of just over $1 million. In 2002, Ohio Grantmakers Forum had 203 members, and George E. Espy became president, a position he held for the next 11 years. 2004 was a busy year for Ohio Grantmakers Forum. The board adopted a vision statement to be the leading voice and premier resource for organized philanthropy in Ohio, and a mission statement. Ohio Grantmakers Forum is an association of foundations, corporate contributions programs, and other grant-making organizations. Its mission is to provide leadership for organized philanthropy in Ohio and to enhance the ability of members to fulfill their charitable goals. It also created the Ohio Philanthropy Award in 2004. Stephen Minter, head of the Cleveland Foundation, was its first recipient. And Ohio Grantmakers Forum adopted guiding principles for itself and its members. In 2006, it expanded its work and policy as its president was named chair of the newly created Attorney General Charitable Advisory Council, on which Dr. Suzanne Allen continues to serve, and began its education initiative with release of the Education for Ohio's Future report. In 2008, Ohio Grantmakers Forum adopted diversity principles, and its inclusion committee convened the CEO Leadership Circle for Diversity and Inclusion. There were 8 staff, 209 members, and a budget of $1.5 million. In 2011, Ohio Grantmakers Forum created its health initiative as a member-driven state policy endeavor modeled after its education initiative. The board embarked on a strategic planning process, engaging a national consultant to lead the process that created a theory of change and logic model for a 2012 to 2014 strategic plan. As part of this planning process, in 2013, Ohio Grantmakers Forum rebranded itself as Philanthropy Ohio and welcomed United Way's, individuals, and government grantmakers as members. Dr. Suzanne T. Allen became the new president of Philanthropy Ohio. In 2013, the board created 2 new awards honoring an emerging philanthropy leader and innovator. Policy work expanded to launch the Endow Ohio initiative. The following year, in 2014, the board expanded membership to include professional partners as an associate member category. We welcomed lawyers, HR firms, investment advisors, and philanthropy consultants. In 2015, the board created and presented the Michael G. Shin Award for Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion in Philanthropy, honoring Mr. Shin, who died in March of that year. He chaired and breathed new life into the organization's diversity, equity, and inclusion work. That brings us to the present time, when Philanthropy Ohio's staff of 11 provides leadership and service to over 1,700 staff and trustees affiliated with 221 members, including 24 professional partners, with a budget of over $1.5 million.